Chalo, we will start. Welcome to today's session. At today we are
You can
doing
see there is
live
some problem.
Sarth is a good friend of mine. Sarth is also from SPL Delhi. Yes, and he was always interested in photography. I remember in first year we had a very interesting photo. Maybe शायद दिखाऊंगा मैं तुम्हें वो बाद में. But anyway, about that. Sarth is primarily an architect. He studied his Bachelor of Architecture from SPA Delhi. Then he went to IED in he went to IED in Madrid, Spain to study photography, and now he's a Delhi-based photographer. He majorly focuses on architectural photography, but he's going to talk to you about different genres of photography today. So, sir, are you by the name of V? Achha, yeah, I saw. I got you. Okay. Will you start your video, Sarth?
Yeah.
A lot of photography enthusiasts today. We're having some problem with Instagram Live. We'll be live. Yes. Okay. Sarth is.
Some problem with Instagram Live. Could you send me the request again?
Wait. What we'll do? I'll take it from here only. Wait. Give me a second. Yeah. I can get you live on. आप आ सकते हो. You are on live. You are live. Instagram पे. So Sarth, take it from here. Sarth. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sir, he's here.
Sarth, are you? मेरा Wi-Fi का some issue is there. Can we try एक बार Instagram live? Otherwise, we'll start here. मैं यहाँ से.
I'm reinstalling it.
Meantime हम यहाँ पे we'll start here. आप चालू कर दो आपका presentation.
Okay.
You tell me before Instagram.
Participant screen sharing.
Yeah.
You can re-enable that.
You can share your screen now. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Great.
आपका Instagram बस हो जाए तो मुझे बता दीजिएगा.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a second. So are you live on Instagram, Ajinkya?
Yes, I'll just go there.
Yeah. So tell me by the names of the participants. Are they mostly your students?
Mostly my students. Yes.
Nice. And with that, I would believe
some of them are in architecture, I guess. Aditi is here. I guess yes, Aditi is here. Some new people are also there. It seems. So let us see. I'm live on Instagram right now.
Yeah, and I've just sent you a request.
Just a second. Let it happen. Yeah. आपका फ्रंट वाला बस ऑन कर दो. हाँ, perfect.
Yeah. Looks good.
Perfect. You continue with your presentation. I'll share the screen from here. आपका screen.
Okay.
Instagram live पे.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
So, hi, and welcome students of Ajinkya mostly and other people to this presentation. I just a little bit about myself. Hi, I am Sarth. As Ajinkya would have told you, this is where we studied. This is SPA Delhi. And
this is SPA Delhi from the graveyard.
So for the people who don't know, for the students. So right next to the SPA Delhi campus is a graveyard, and this photo has been taken from a graveyard. Ghosts do visit us mostly, but they don't help us with our submissions. Here is the graveyard, and
ये वो मिनी यूटोपिया वाला है क्या फोटो?
I think so. I think so.
I think this is
sent
the
a
first.
I think this is the first mini यूटोपिया वाला. हम सब सोच रहे थे जाने का वहाँ पे. Anyway, आप continue.
Could be. Then, so I did just a little work as an architect some time ago. I was at Orwell, and I primarily worked with compressed stabilizer blocks and arches, vaults, and domes. Not with concrete, but with actually taking the weight of each and every of these blocks and then calculating the span and the dimension of the entire roofing systems. I also worked a little with ferrocement and these channels. And as you can see, this was one of the buildings that I had worked in. This is Sharnam in Pondicherry. And other than that, that was a long time ago. And now I am primarily a photographer.
Nice.
So basically in this webinar, story share, Instagram Live, whatever, I would like to focus more on the storytelling aspects of photography. I will give you guys a brief introduction to some of my works and how everybody here, especially in the audience, can just pick up their cameras and then just go and take whatever and capture and take photographs of whatever the story they want to tell. So I want to start with telling all of you guys that you're all storytellers. You already have all the tools possible, whether you have a camera that belongs to 2008 or a phone that belongs to 2003, it doesn't matter. You have all the tools, you just have to go out and take photos. You already have the vision, and it's your life and it's all around you. And that is something that you should take photos of. So, basic, I'll start with some of the stories. So this is a story that how you can tell stories of cities. This is a project that I did while I was in SPA, 2014, 15, I guess, around that time, fourth year. This is about Gurgaon, and this is about how it got developed. And I was interested, so I had been going to Gurgaon since 2004, 2005, but then I was interested in seeing what was beyond the known boundaries of Gurgaon that we know. So there are the malls, there are all the offices, but then there's a limit which is sector 54. I think that must have extended by now because the last time I went there was about 3 years ago. So beyond sector 54 is was still where you could find farms and where people they were villages, and that's the point where new buildings were being constructed. So here you can see addition of the elements, and somehow just somehow it didn't make sense. Somehow it was just there's a city growing in the background, but there are people who are not being given appropriate places to stay, and just in the visual characteristics of things, there was a lot going on. The farms were all destroyed, and even the building construction had stopped for several months while I was there. And it's just the word was brutalized. The adjective that I could give the landscape over there was that it was just brutalized. And there was this time of transition that I could not understand, because as you can see, beyond this is the limit, and beyond this is where the new city was developing. So we know cities, we know villages, but there's this transition that happens for about 8 or 10 years, and you never know, as in, you know, this shape that it's going to take, but the life that it will inhabit, it's never what you expect. So this, with this story, with this photo essay, I would like all of you to um, uh, see that you can just explore the neighborhoods around you, see what's happening, and take photos of them. So here are some of the photos. As Ajinkya is zooming in on Instagram, you can see. So here in this photo, till this point, there's this road to be constructed, and if you went a little down, these are the spaces for the construction workers. Uh, that's the temporary sheds that have been made for them to live in, and here they're enjoying their time in the evening playing gulli danda and cricket. And just in the background, so this is sector 54. I think if you can move a little to the right, this is sector 54, and this is all the new construction that was being made. But then there's this dynamic, and there's this uh, conversation about the lives of the people, and it's always been something that is negated. And people have been trying to do better things for construction workers, but in the situation in these days, as we see that this is the most critical aspect of our own country that we're missing on. And you see that these kids who live here for almost 5 or 6 years until the project is being constructed, this is the environment that they grow up in. And from somehow where there were trees, this is all you can see in the landscape. Here are some more photos. So incidentally, this was the last time I've ever seen anybody playing Gulli Danda. And also seeing this in 2015 was after years. And while we're building cities that replicate each other and are copies of cities throughout the world, there are many characteristics, there are many local traditions, there are games like this, which would surely go missing. So the buildings where construction was halted, I went there many times and at different hours of the day. Like this was probably 2 or 3 a.m. at night. The sense of motion. These are so many things that one needs to see and one needs to understand that there are um, many different people who are and many different variables that come into play in building a city and in building even a building. So as Azankya would be telling you guys that each building that you build can change the world, and little by little you change the world in doing that. Well, that's true, and but it's also good to know that there are so many other players that need to be that one needs to understand, that are a part of it. So before this, in this, within this,
Sir?
yeah, tell me.
No, go on, sir.
Yeah.
Go on.
So within this narrative, I just wanted to tell you that there's a way of exploration through photography. So if you want to know about something that's happening around you, the camera is your tool to do so, and that's what it was for me in this case. Yeah, tell me, Adhika.
So I have few questions regarding this particular project.
Sure.
So this project is called Unfinished City.
Yeah.
Right. So when you take up any project particularly, so do you already decide this is the project is going to be, or you just take on photographs and then you figure out the theme in the middle? Okay, this is what I want to do, or this is what is already coming up. So it's like a pre-decided theme, or it comes organically in your projects?
I would
let me repeat the question for Zoom. What I wanted to say is, because you have lovely photographs, so the project is called Unfinished City, right? So did you take it? Do you decide the theme already? Ki this is what I wanted to, and this is the theme that I will take photographs from, or you just start going around and see, and then something comes up? And Sarth, we have a request from Zoom. If you can speak up a little louder.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is my voice clearer now? Yes, no?
Yeah, on Instagram is clear.
Okay. So if there is, somebody. Sir, can you please be louder? Hi. Yeah, okay. So Pooja. Yeah, okay. So to answer your question, Ajinkya, in a sense, both of these narratives and both of these thoughts can be applied when you're taking a project or a photo. For me, in many other cases, I have a pre-decided destination where I want to reach. I have a pre-decided story through which I'm telling the photos of a particular space or place. In this case, specifically, there was just exploration. I would go to Gurgaon, about 10 or 12 trips, or how many ever that I did. I went there, I saw these spaces, and I kept taking photos, and these were all for me to understand what the space was. Later on, much later on, actually, about a year or two after I took these images, then I sat down, made a narrative out of it, and went with that. But both of the options happen, and like in one or two of the next projects, you'll see that it's more aligned to taking photos of the thought, but here it was exploration.
I think we can move forward to your next
Sure. So then the next thing which we were talking about, you can narrate your own ideas with the photos that you have. So for this, I would give you a little more history about myself. After architecture, I went to Spain to follow my passion of photography, and actually to learn more about the aspect of storytelling, and find a formal place where I could learn all of it. So the first project that I did here was something called Man Altered Landscapes. Now here I would tell the audience that it was my predetermined idea first, that I wanted to show how the landscape over there that I was around had been taken over by people, had been taken over by humans and man. And in a sense, how could I show it through photos? So I went across many landscapes, many areas of the city, different cities, different countries, and I clicked a bunch of photos and then I edited them together. Edited not in the way of processing on Photoshop, but edited in terms of like a magazine editor, a photo editor, put all of these photos one after the other to give meaning out of them. So here I would like to focus your attention to this, uh, the narrative that is here, which is basically of how the flora of flora and fauna of the entire in a in a composition of a photograph is reducing. Why, whereas how a man is taking over the landscape. So I'll give you a way of reading this, which is you can see that in every photo there's a small area and a small proportion of the composition that is given to something that's man-made. And throughout this series, as one goes to the end, that takes over, whereas the nature, the organic things that as we see it, they start reducing. So here, as you can see here, that little thing is on the left here in the corner, a stool, a bench for the people to sit in. But then you can see these hedges being cut out and the trees being given places to grow. And this follows through to other images. Now probably you'll have a better understanding of how to read this, to read these photos. Here, as you can see, mostly I'm talking about how it's caged and it's a tool and it's a prop for the cities. Here there's a contest for who takes up more area in a city. And from here, where we know that these are just props now to be used for models and to be used as to how humans want them to be used, to this place in Madrid itself, where there's an entire botanical garden inside a station. So it's basically a zoo. Here we have decided places for them to grow in, to the point that there will only be a shadow of it, or a projection of the landscape on our environments. So some years ago, with a dear friend of mine, we started Studio BIM, and this was just to highlight all of these stories in the narrative of photography. Because we are both architects, we tend to focus more on the life and the stories around cities and around our built spaces and built environment and architecture. So this is what we focus on. Then for the next project, and this I'm giving you a hint of that we can talk about, and this is a tool for you guys, and how you can talk about a typology of things that are around you and make a document out of it. So here we have a project called Dose of Kathmandu that was done with my co-founder Nipun Prabhakar at Studio BIM. So he went around to take photos of the doors in Kathmandu. He was living and working there for several years, and this is a documentation of how these doors, which are just in essence just just a threshold for people to go in and go out, but because of the culture of those and because the spaces and that these doors inhabit and the culture of the people around, they have taken a more cultural meaning throughout the city. So this is also a very great way of storytelling through photography. You take photos of something which of something and make a rhythm out of it, make it repeat throughout uh, your essay. So, Ajinkya, any questions on those?
Sir, yes. So about this particular project,
Yeah.
Doors of Kathmandu,
Yeah, tell me.
and even the about
Yeah.
about the previous project, the man landscape wala project.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So how do you try to build stories through photograph? So I see the previous photograph was a photo essay basically, where there is first photo, then there is second photo, then there is third photo. So it was a you can say a path that you designed. Keep this is the first thing that you want to see. Then this is the first thing that I want you to see.
Yeah.
Then this is something that you would see. Then this is something you would see. And this is something you would see.
Yeah.
So and this the Doors of Kathmandu project, there is no order as such. This is what I. Am I?
Yeah.
So
Better know.
how do you decide on this? Which project is going to have individual photos and which project is going to have a series of photos in particular order? And secondly, I love the how do you feel about black and white photography and color photography? Because one project is in black and white, the previous one, and this one is in color. So how do you differentiate between which project do you want to do in black and white and which project do you want to do in color?
Okay. Two perfect questions. Great questions. In both of them, I'll start with uh, the the first question about it being an essay and it being an entire story, or it being a typology of the same element being repeated. So these are both very two different tools in photography. And how I decide on that is on basis of the narrative. That if there's a story that is an extensive story that involves many ideas, many people, and if I have to show that these are the sort of people involved within this larger photo essay, because as you could see in the one in Gurgaon also, there were migrant laborers, there was the landscape as a protagonist, there were construction sites, there were all these many different variables. So you take photos of the different characters and then put them together in a story. Whereas in photo essays like these, you tend to capture photos of one thing repeatedly, so that so to enhance the impact of your protagonist of the story, which here in this case are the doors. So when you see that element being repeated again and again, you know that okay, that we're talking about videos, and you know that you need to focus your attention on this. Whereas in black and white and color, black and white, black and white is less distracting. So if you have something
Yeah.
very poignant to say, or if you have something very important to say, I start tending more towards black and white. But color is
Right.
more the way in which we see the world. So if you want to create a narrative around what you see, uh, you go to color.
Right. Great. Great. Uh, let's go. Let's move on now.
Okay.
Yes.
So
This one I was really waiting for.
so this is again a practice in typology. Here are the photos of some buildings that happened on the periphery of Madrid, or on of the city that I was living in. So there, the story behind this was that there was this.
Sarth, just
Yeah.
just before you start the project, if you can explain what do you mean by typology to the students, if you can,
Okay.
no, so that it will be better understanding for them.
Yeah, sure. So basically, you take one element and you start repeating it. In the case before this, it was doors. In this case, it's these buildings, these low-cost housing buildings. And if I can uh, to share this, just a second. Can you see my entire screen now, or can you just see the
Yes.
PDF?
That full screen. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Full screen.
so can you see my Chrome?
No, you have to. You have to stop. Wait, you have
To stop sharing, but I'll do that for you. Now you share.
Okay.
Now you are on the video. Now you share the screen again with the Chrome.
Okay. So here I am.
So in the meantime, those who are joined us on Instagram, you can check Sarth's profile. It is there in the post, and I really urge you, if you really want a good experience, please join us on Zoom meeting. Sarth, I can see your Chrome. I'll take it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a couple, Hilla and Bernard Becker, both German photographers, and they took photos of everything in the German landscape. These were water towers, these were old construction buildings, this is the typology of the houses. And through this, we get a sense of how, when we see the same things being repeated uh, within within a frame, we get more idea on how we experience them. Because if we go on a road and 1 kilometer we see this water tower, and then about 10 kilometers more 10 kilometers further we see this one, we won't make sense out of it until we put them all together in a frame. So this is what typology does for you.
Perfect.
So I'll go back to my presentation.
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
So, but there is storytelling through these also. And the story here is that after the recession in 2008, many people lost their jobs, and many people needed homes to stay in Spain. So, and the low cost housing was always seen as a taboo, that only the very poor people go and live there. So what the government did was that it encouraged many architects, the best of architects of the profession, to come on and uh, build new designs, and see and experiment with new ways of building low cost housing, so that they can lose that taboo, and people can be excited to be living in these buildings. And this is probably one of the greatest experiments that I know that have happened. So here are some of the photos from that. Here you see that all the building louvers, they're all made of bamboo. when the building was made back in 2012 or 13, it was all yellow. But I went there in 2017, and the organic essence of bamboo had taken over this black color.
Right.
There are for the design students here, they just played instead of making a box for a building, they did design a box which is here, which is in the background, but then they extended these boxes for the needs of the people who are going to buy here, buy these houses and live here. So sometimes they created a 2-bedroom house which was here, or a 4-bedroom house which was here, and here there's a storage, and there's stairs to go down into the parking. So there were many different ways of experimentation that happened. Here in this case, how they designed was that the interiors of the building was a big open area for the kids to play and for the people to walk. But on the outside, they were they designed it like it was containers for the people, and people's lives were in the corners, whereas people would live together in the center. Here are other designs, and then stuff like this always gives you the courage for experimentation and to try out new things. Here is another building. There are 12 buildings like this that were made together, and one of them, and they've been coded with different colors. And here you see that these all spaces which are semi-covered are all service spaces where you have washing machines and places for clothes to dry, whereas all these, and here there are rooms.
Sir, few questions that I have.
Tell me.
One, so how important it is to do your research before starting the project? Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, because this is a very interesting project in by architecture itself. So how your background in architecture helped you in appreciating this project in a much better way, I would say. Like, because you have a background in architecture, did you feel that did you feel more affection towards this project, or did you feel an affection towards it from a humanitarian point of view?
Yeah. So I feel that both of these are the same things. Being an architect and having an education in architecture, I definitely feel that it helps you be a better humanitarian, better human. It gives you the skill for empathizing rather than sympathizing with the world around you. You see how every brick, every pattern on the wall affects you in a tangible way, and in a very intangible way also. So with this project, yes, there's definite help in understanding, in just understanding of the project. If I weren't a photographer, I would have gone to these spaces and felt, oh, these are interesting and visually appealing objects, visually appealing buildings, and I should take photos of them. But that should never be the intent in photography. There's always a meaning to. There's always a need to tell the story of a particular landscape, a particular built environment, and even in commercial projects. So you need to really research on what you're trying to say, what you're going through. So here in this, the photos that you see are all taken in less than a week, but there was at least a month and a half of research on where these buildings are, who designed them, why are they designed in the way they are, and yeah.
Great. Okay. Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. So, and here is a part that that focuses on storytelling, and it's not only applicable to photography. applicable to architecture, to storytelling, to presentations, to whatever we do. Uh, so here is essentially what a story does. It takes you from point A to point B, but it's never linear, and there are many uh, great authors who have narrowed down the basics of storytelling into five or six basic principles. One of my favorites is this guy, Joseph Campbell. Uh, so in this book of his, The Power of Myth, and he says that that there's a journey to a hero, and that all of the stories that you know, whether it be Mahabharata, Ramayana, or whether it be Star Trek or Star Wars, they all follow the same pattern. And it starts with call to an adventure, then person meets a mentor, then they cross a threshold, and there are trials that he has to face. And then he knows that he's not capable enough to tackle them. Then there's a death or a rebirth. Either there's a new person, okay, let's take Batman for example. So Bruce Wayne dies, and the Batman is born. Then there's a revelation. There are changes. Then there's atonement. Then finally discovers what he's there to do. Then and then he goes back to the same place where you always were. And so this is in the case of Ramayana, this is Ayodhya, coming back to Ayodhya, and 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 it just goes on and on. And so this is a tool for people who are storytellers to tell their stories. Either they can start with this, and if they're feeling that they don't know where their story should go, they could use this. What we know more, how we know this more so is by this. There's this great storyteller that we have living right now, who's called Dan Harmon, and the story, and you know him by either Community, or if you have seen Rick and Morty, and he took the same journey, and he narrowed and he simplified it. So you have Rick and Morty, you the character, then suddenly they need something, so they go to capture it, and they find it, and they search for it, and they do find it. But when they find it, they have to take it, but they have to, this is where they lose something that they already had before. So that makes them change and return to the same place as they were. And there are different ways that this goes on. There are converging ideas, and this is, for example, Dunkirk. So you see one story going one way, and you have another story going one way, and then they meet to a point, and then there's a big revelation. Oh, this is essentially what was really going on. Then, and for the more dramatic movies, you have this, whereas there's a person who starts from the bottom. There's a rise, this goes up, and then at the end there's a fall. So that's just another way. And so you can use all these methods that the greats have developed in sharing your story, whether it be about photography, whether it's in your design, whether it's in your in the circulation through your buildings, in anything that you do. So, but then there are stories of the places that you can tell. Here are some of the photos of a project that I shot commercially in Delhi. Here there is a pavilion that was built in the Sundar Nursery. So the Sundar Nursery is essentially an Islamic garden, And the architect here, Ankon Mitra, who does this thing called architecture, which is basically origami and architecture. He fuses them both into creating uh, facades, into creating objects and sculptures. And here, in this case, it was an experiential pavilion. So he took the context of the Sundar Nursery, which is next to the Humayun ka Maqbara in Delhi, and with aluminium and with copper, he built the space, and inside the space, he built Zen garden, which is basically a Buddhist a Buddhist symbol. So you have the Islamic garden, and within that you have the Buddhist garden, and you have these arches, and you have these two openings which open to two different areas of the park. There is this Sundar Burj over here and Sundar Bala Mahal over here, and here in this is basically a story of that pavilion. So the earth and the sky become here. The sky is the copper. The earth is the copper over here as a material, whereas the sky is the aluminium, and they never meet, but they just touch each other, even as we see in nature. It's a great space to be inside. I don't know what's happening of it right now, whether it still is there after the COVID and lockdown, but I would surely love to visit it again if it still exists. And yeah, any questions on that, Ajinkya?
So this is a very interesting project. So I have only one question from this. So how important is photography in terms of enhancing or displaying the exact emotion of an architect? Because let me give you an example. So let's say I design something as an architect, right? I want people to experience it in a certain way sometimes.
Yeah.
So how can photography help me with that? Because so I see this project from a photograph, like from your photos. Now it makes me want to visit that place because that has captured the essence or what the architect wanted to show. So how do you do that? How do you take that space and how do you convert it into a space where I would like to go? Like how do you attract people to visit that certain place? Yeah.
So in essence, you are following the narrative of the architect on one level, on the basic level.
Right.
You understand, and it helps a little if you're an architect yourself. So to understand the context of the spaces, to understand the whys of the decision that the architect has taken to build it. Over here, there was this opening, and there you see that these are the arches, and these arches are direct by scale repetitions of the arches that you see over here on the Sundar.
Correct.
And so you try to connect those two. You know that there's a story behind those arches, and that connects to these to the arches that exist over here. So then you compose in a way that both of these elements come together. And when you're looking at a photo, there are layers of meaning that you can take out of it. Because from here, you know that there is this old existing space, and you know that there's a reflection of this space through the material and through the tools and the techniques, and as well as image that is being replicated.
Correct.
And then you have the context, then you have the spaces where you're taking, and there's the intent, and behind them, that's on one level. Then at a second level, as a photographer, always searching for better compositions.
Right.
Yes, there is the aspect of composition as we spoke about that. Here you can definitely see the golden ratio in the image, and whether it's the earth, whether it's
Yeah.
diagonals. So although those are all techniques that help you to capture the essence.
Right.
And thirdly, then you're looking for moments that are happening, like this kid had taken a break and found this
Right.
space within that pavilion, and
Correct.
it's organic, it's happening by itself. So you try to be there and you try to capture it. Here is Ancon himself, the architect, and so you essentially try to capture these moments.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. So then diverging from spaces, diverging from going around you and taking, this is, you can just take photos of poems. And I think that is a misplacement of the slide. Sorry for that. The introductory slide we'll find at the bottom somewhere. So here, here's a poem, and you can photograph poems. And this was written in the 16th century by Victor Hugo, 16th or 17th or the 18th century by Victor Hugo. And here, essentially, what I'm trying to do is to capture the, the the essence of the poem was transience. So it talks about it's a haiku, and it's a very short poem, and the essence is basically that there's this bird that is sitting on a twig, and this twig is about uh, to break, and it just knows that the bird still knows that it can still fly, and and still it is in a sense of peace and calm. So to capture that, then I took photos of the poem inside bubbles
Right.
to also express that sort of transience. And here you can see it's the poem. I'll take you through it. It's be like the bird who is the same thing as little zoomed in, who halting in his flight
Perfect.
on limb to slight. And it's not loading. Okay, there's an issue. Oh, there's an issue with the presentation.
Right.
What
Not a
is-
problem.
Let me see if I
How did you
How did you
take
this? How did you take this photograph?
In the meantime, while you
In the
work
Meantime, while you
on
work on,
you can just speak.
Yeah, I'll take you to one of the slides for people in Zoom. Yeah, so you can see that, actually you can't see, but basically if you go to like,
Hmm.
you can see the studio lights in the background,
Oh, yeah. Right. You can see it
and
here.
yeah.
Perfect.
So I essentially took 3 or 4 days entirely in
Wow. It's lovely.
yeah. Okay, so there's something wrong with the presentation. I'm sorry, but let's continue it as it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is an
Sorry for
indoor. So this is an indoor session, I would say.
Yeah,
All
this
the
is an
other
indoor
games are
session.
outdoor. Right. Okay. Perfect.
And but the purpose of including this in the presentation today is that you can use photography for not just expressing the ideas that you have on the outside for the outside world, but even just for slight ideas. For example, what is transience and what is the meaning of a haiku, and 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 uh, and you can express those through whatever is in your mind, and you can use tools.
Right.
Here, I would say yes, there are a bit of tools that are used that not everybody can find in their homes, but yeah, but you can do so easily. It's not a big thing. So, and this is something that I've been working on. You can tell stories of something that's around you. Ajinkya,
Yeah.
But there's something that I do wish to share, which has not, for some reason, has not become part of this. If you'll allow me, I'll
Yeah.
open another folder and
Sure.
just show you
You
those
take your
photos.
time.
Yeah.
You take your time. You take your time. You can keep the screen on. In the meantime, you can work on the background tasks.
Yeah, you can still see those.
Right.
The images, right?
Yeah. Right. So
There,
in
there
the
are,
meantime, I will just reiterate something to the those who are attending the Pathfinder batch and our Instagram. This also maybe we can have a feedback at the end of the day on this. So
Okay.
in the Pathfinder batch, we did an exercise where it was a game design plus photography exercise. What they had to
Okay.
do, they had to take an object, right? Any object for that matter, a key, a lighter, a knife for that matter, and then they had to take it, and the setting of the house was the
Yeah.
gameplay, and then they had to take the photograph, and then they had to get a journey of it through photograph.
Yeah.
So you take, for example, I have a key, right, and I have to take a photograph of the key, and in the living room, building a story through photograph. So I don't know if I can share that project with you. Maybe I'll show you the project in the end, and maybe we can have a review on that. Maybe you can talk about it also. You know, are we back on the project?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. Yes.
You see,
Just a second, guys. The Instagram live will get over in a few while, so we'll be back on another this one. Okay, continue. Yes, please. Thank you.
Can you still see the offside? Yeah.
Yeah.
So then here are some images of how you can talk about an idea, on how you can talk about an event which is going on. So these are photos that I taken in Madrid. There is a lot of furor of what's happening in sports and what's happening around football. You have two major La Liga teams. You have Atletico Madrid and
Right.
you have yeah, the main and then so essentially you would go inside and watch these matches, but I focused
Right.
here on how people watch these. So they do go and to the stadiums. So for example, when they're this is the time when they go, so you can see
Wow.
the thousands and thousands of people, and when the match is over and they're coming out, this is how it basically looks. Within the metro, you have people wearing jerseys, people wearing all of that, and then somehow it's connected to the generations. You have the kids, you have the grandparents, but then there is again of another layer of how you see these, which is through the TV screens. So I've also taken photos of people watching it through screens. So all the bars and even at homes of the people, there's this friend of mine, and he's working on one screen, but then on the other screen there's always a match that's going on. And on the other hand, then that's how it's getting reproduced, the images of Instagram, and this is right before when people are cheering for the teams. Another aspect of it was how the streets got dirty and then got cleaned up.
Right.
But then there's just so much that's going on around. A particular event, so you can tell stories of the same through photographs. This is mostly what you call documentary photography, in a sense. So this is that, and I'll get back to the presentation meanwhile.
Yes. So these were shot in Spain.
Yeah, this is what was shot in Spain. And how do I share the screen? Just a second. Sorry, guys.
Niche. Yeah. Your screen is live. Yes.
Yeah. Is it full screen now? Can you see it?
Yeah. Yes.
So how and what now is basically these days when we are sitting in lockdown, and and you cannot go outside, nor you can rent big equipment to get to your houses, to inside your house to take a big project. You shoot what's around you. I broke my foot in January, and for me, the lockdown started on the 27th of December, and since then I've been at home. And what I've been doing is I've been taking photos outside my window
Right.
wherever I see even a little bit of life. Now, since June, I do see people coming in, although very less as compared to what we had earlier seen. So, and whatever interesting things that I could find, I took photos of that. I took photos of blotches of light. I took
Right.
photos of birds. I started taking photos of people and birds with people, people walking their dogs, and gazebos being constructed, gazebos being installed, and all these things of and basically fires and everything. So even if there's a little movement outside, because I've been staring at it for 5 months now, I just know that there's something in it. So in a
Right.
sense of a story, I don't know what the story is right now. I'm just taking these images because I find things moving. I find aeroplanes, so I just take photos. And maybe there's a story at the end of it, and I don't know.
I think that will be a story, right? That will be, I mean, that's going to be a nice story at the end of the day, because random photographs in lockdown is a good story, because everybody is going through the same thing right now. Don't know what's
Yeah.
happening, the sense of time and all. But yeah, please go on.
So essentially, this is just there. These are not my best work. These are just something that I've been taking from my phone and from my camera, and just over here. And this is basically to tell everybody, especially the people who, especially the kids who are feeling that there's nothing to do here. There's always something to do. There's always something to explore. So we keep on doing that. So essentially, whatever I'll sum it up, that basically whether it'll be the story of spaces, whether it'll be story of people, of of different areas. This is another story that we did as BIM. This is Nippon's thing of after the Muzaffarpur riots, Muzaffarnagar riots. There was rehabilitation, and new houses were being made on how the people wanted to live. So there are stories everywhere. There are stories of whether there are ideas in your mind and you see them in the landscape, whether it's just something that you see that's a repeated pattern, whether it's a door, whether it's a building, uh, whether it's an entire neighborhood, whether it's broken buildings, uh, or whether these are just spaces, or whether there's this ideas of movement, uh, or whether
Sir,
it's
over Instagram, the live will end in 5 seconds. So I think we
Okay,
can stop
I'll
with the
just-
Instagram. We'll continue on Zoom.
yeah.
Yeah, sir,
And if
are you
guys
there?
are still here, so yeah, and
Yeah,
with
okay.
that,
We'll continue here. We'll continue here.
using that, you can just tell stories anywhere. You just need to take out your camera, go out and start taking photos, essentially. So can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you now. Yes. Perfect. So, done with the presentation, I guess.
Ajinkya?
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We are open for some questions now, guys. If you have any questions, please ask about it. In the meantime, I'll just warm up the crowd. There is a question that always comes into play. I don't have a good camera. I don't have a DSLR. I just have a random phone. I don't know how to shoot. There is no tripod. There is no setting. So how can I take good photos? So what would you say to that?
Or to those questions, I would like to answer that my favorite camera these days is this phone.
Okay.
This is a 2007 HTC model phone. Probably the camera is 3 megapixels. It doesn't matter which camera you use.
Right.
you could have different cameras. I could show you at least a ton of cameras over here, but it just
Right.
to take images. That's
Pradnya has a question. How much is perspective important for photography? Or I think that's the question. So
okay. Perspective in terms of the visual perspective, or in terms of perspective that you have.
I think she's talking about visual perspective, the 1 point 2 point perspective that we are talking about that day.
Oh, a lot, a lot. Thanks, Anish.
She's here. Wow, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So a lot, and then essentially in the 1 point and the 2 point perspectives, what you can use as the photos that you saw of the building, those were essentially shot with keeping in mind the 1 point and 2 point perspective. 1 point perspective, personally, I would like to say that everybody should avoid, because it draws people in like in the center of the frame, which is never a good composition. Play around with 2 point perspective, and uh, and just experiment more and more.
Perfect. Okay. I have another question for you.
Yep.
Um, this is a personal question. Do you prefer to play with human emotions, or do you like to play with not non-living objects? I mean, where do you find it more interesting to make connections? Do you find if there are humans, you find it better, or if you do you find that if there are no humans, it's better, or it depends on something according to you?
Number one, it depends on everything. Whether it's a very tangible emotion that you wish to express, yes, include people and take portraits.
Right.
Portraits are in photography, although I didn't show many portraits
Right.
here, because it's basically mostly uh, people who want to become architects and they are fascinated more with space. Uh,
Right.
uh, and if you want to play with that, then definitely go and take portraits. The greatest photographers and even the greatest architectural photographers, they tend to humanize the landscape, humanize the built environment, whether it is showing the tactility of the building materials, whether it's showing how a human, how a person is living in that space, how how does a person interact within the space,
Right.
and that's that. As in terms of the human emotions, all photography is all about human emotions. All the photos that you see are as in three of the projects were an inner turmoil and an inner thought,
Correct.
and at the end it's a human emotion, and if people connect to it, it's
Perfect. Devashish has a question. What is golden ratio and how it applies in photos? I think I would add something to that.
yeah.
How do you, what do you think about purely geometric compositions? No story, only geometric composition. So I think we can combine these two questions.
Yeah. So, so about the golden ratio, I think the design teacher Ajinkya would be better able to tell you what golden ratio is.
Right.
I'll show it to you how you can use it in photos. So, Ajinkya, would you want to get started on that?
No, you take it from here. I had taught them, but you take it from here.
Okay. So, shall I just share for the people who
Sure,
don't
sure.
know what golden ratio is? It's essentially a magical number that you can find in the nature. My screen,
Uh,
this is just
yeah.
can you see this right now?
Yeah, your screen is there, but it's blank. It will come in sometime.
Yeah,
I can see blank screen, I guess, right now.
it's blank.
It's blank. It says star, star. Can you see it, guys? Those who are there?
Yeah.
Uh, no, some issue with your screen sharing.
So So yeah, this is spiral. For example, if you have a rectangle and you can divide it into a square, as in 1:1.168, and then you can divide it into those proportions till, and then you keep getting an infinite spiral till the end. But what it does is, as you can see, it's essentially in photography and in composition of 2D objects, it's essentially a design element. I can show you how my photos work in this, but here Google is helping us in the composition elements itself. That as you can see here, there's somebody sitting, but the person is over here in the corner, and the focus just, our eyes are directed towards the spiral's loop, and when there is some 2D composition, naturally, if we see something like this, our eyes go. If the same person was in the center, it wouldn't have looked as enticing and as visually appealing as it does right now, even for the sun here. So that's basically the golden ratio.
I think
Ajinky's
what
back.
golden ratio does, or it help, or rule of third does, it helps you in composing the photograph or the subject. If, for example, there is a rule of thirds that is going on, so it rule of thirds says that wherever you want to focus, place that subject near where the spiral goes. Is it something? It's something like that, right? It's a general idea that a lot of photographers use, I guess.
Yeah, and yeah, so you can either, so what you can do is this, take a piece of paper, start copying this till you have an understanding of how this composition and this ratio works in your mind. Then what you can do is try taking some photos, putting them on Photoshop using the golden ratio crop tool. You can crop them. Then you will start developing a basic understanding of how it works.
Right.
But in a year or two, or even earlier than that, you can just when composing a photo, you start seeing it in your mind, and
Right.
that helps you compose it.
I think a lot of phones have the rule of thirds ka grades built in nowadays, no?
Yeah,
Yeah, hai na?
and even Photoshop has rule of thirds, rule of diagonals, and the golden ratio also.
Right. Okay.
So that's Devashish.
One question for me from me. How many photos do you take for one project? I mean, let's say if you are doing a project where the final photos are, let's say, 10. How many? What is the general number of photographs do you take beforehand?
Oh, dude. So a lot. Firstly, when I started, I thought, no, I should only take the best photos, and I should be like those old photographers who just had 36 space for 36 photos on their rolls,
Right.
and that's what I did. I used to put 128 MB card, so I had a limit number of photos that I could take.
Right.
Then I grew out of it, and for example, the photos of these. Of which project was it? Of offside of the football
Right.
project.
Yeah.
At the end, for about 20 images, when
Mm-hmm.
I essentially have more than 600 to 700 images.
Wow. Okay. All right. Perfect. Chalo, sir, I have a last question for you.
Tell me, dude.
I ask every speaker. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a 18-year-old yourself? The age these mostly kids are.
Um, uh, basically, don't be like, and these are all your students, right? Mostly.
Most of them, yeah. Some of them are there, but okay.
So, to most of the students, I would like to say that. Mm, uh, Wait, let me put this in a better way.
Or anybody who is interested in
Go and
photography.
explore your passions. As in, if it's photography, just go and start shooting more and more and more. If it's architecture, read and explore more projects. If it's about drawing, just draw as much as you can, and maybe in 2 or 3 or 5 years, or maybe in 10 years, maybe in 20 years, it'll lead you somewhere.
Exactly. Chalo. Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll wrap up the session here. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you staying with us for pretty much amount of time. We'll wrap the session here today. We don't have 5 p.m. session today. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. we have Vaibhav Sir ka session. So I'll see you at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarth, again. Yes.
Thanks, brother.
Chalo. Thank you. That's it for today.
Okay.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye bye.